I'd like to call the City Caucus meeting to order for Monday, July 10th, 2023. We have 12 items for original consideration. If the clerk would please read item number 1.
Item number 1 for original consideration, a resolution determining that the Washington Avenue Pump Station Resiliency Project and the Water Resource Recovery Facility Resiliency Project are Type 2 actions pursuant to 6 New York Code of Rules and Regulations 617.5 and not subject to review under seeker.
Discussed in committee without objection on consent. Item number 2.
Item number 2 for original consideration, an ordinance dated July 10, 2023, authorizing the issuance of $9,842,271 aggregate principal amount of serial bonds of the City of Schenectady, New York, pursuant to the local finance law to finance construction and reconstruction of improvements to the Water Resource Recovery Facility in the City of Schenectady at an estimated maximum cost not to exceed $49,842.271, levy of tax and annual installments and payment thereof, the expenditure of such sum for such purpose, and determining other matters in connection therewith.
Discussed in committee without objection and on consent. Item number 3.
Item number 3 for original consideration, an ordinance authorizing a second supplemental bond ordinance dated July 10, 2023, authorizing an increase in the cost of the construction of the new North Ferry Street Pump Station by $1,223,514, the expenditure of such sum for the purpose and determining other matters in connection therewith.
Discussed in committee without objection on consent. Item number 4.
Item number 4 for original consideration, an ordinance dated July 10, 2023, authorizing the issuance of $11,624,114 aggregate principal amount serial bonds of the City of Schenectady, New York, pursuant to the local finance law to finance construction and reconstruction of improvements to the Washington Avenue Pump Station in the City of Schenectady at an estimated maximum cost not to exceed $11,624,114, levy of tax and annual installments in payments thereof, the expenditure of such sum for such purpose, and determining other matters in connection therewith.
Discussed in committee without objection on consent. Item number 5.
Item number 5 for original consideration, a resolution authorizing the 2023 budget reallocation related to an agreement between the City of Schenectady and the Police Benevolent Association.
Discussed in committee without objection on consent. Item number 6.
Item number 6 for original consideration, a resolution authorizing the mayor or his designee to enter into an agreement with New York State Department of Transportation for the implementation and funding in the first instance 100% of the federal aid and state Marchicelli program aid eligible costs of a transportation federal aid project and appropriating funds for Craig Street pavement and bridge rehabilitation project, Albany Street to Wiley Street, New York State DOT PIN number 1761.69.
Discussed in committee without objection on consent. Item number 7.
Item number 7 for original consideration, a resolution endorsing the Schenectady Inner-City Ministry application to the New York State Department of Environmental Conservation for the Southern Pine Community Recovery Program grant.
Discussed in committee without objection on consent. Item number 8.
Item number 8 for original consideration, a resolution authorizing the issuance of revocable permit number 676 to Destin Charter Prep School for a sign that will overhang the city's right-of-way at 530 Franklin Street.
Discussed in committee without objection on consent. Item number 9.
Item number 9 for original consideration, a resolution authorizing the sale of a vacant lot at 118 Victory Avenue for $1,500.
Discussed in committee without objection on consent. Item number 10.
Item number 10 for original consideration, a resolution authorizing the sale of a vacant lot at 815 Bridge Street for $2,000.
Discussed in committee without objection on consent. Item number 11.
Item number 11 under contract and supply, a resolution authorizing the award of contracts for the Rice Road Fluoridation Improvement Project.
Discussed in committee without objection on consent. Item number 12.
Item number 12 for under contract and supply, a resolution authorizing the issuance of a purchase order for sodium hypochlorite 2023.
Discussed in committee without objection on consent. If there's nothing more to come before the City Council caucus, I'd ask for a motion to adjourn. Moved by Mr. Mutabaran, second by Ms. Patrick. All those in favor? Aye. We are adjourned. I'd like to call the City Council meeting to order for Monday, July 10th, 2023. And I'd like to call on Reverend Ronald Hunt for the prayer invocation.
I ask for the blessings on the people who have been called to lead this community in which we live and work and play. Members of the council, city employees, the mayor, and those of you making for and wanting change in our communities. Help our leaders to not just ask, how do we fix this? But what do we need to learn? How might we need to change? And to whom do we need to listen? Help our community by bringing creative solutions to our challenges. I remind all of us as citizens, because we all forget from time to time, especially in the noisiness of what passes for political debate today, that these officials are not only leaders, but also servants, and that it is their responsibility and ours to serve the common good of all. Remind them that, no matter where we live, everyone, gay, straight, transgender, black, white, Hispanic or Asian, Muslim, Jew, Hindu, Sikh, or atheist, are our neighbors, our siblings, and that throughout the ages, prophets have called the leaders of the people to respect and protect the least of those among us, our children, the elderly, the poor, those who are hungry, those who have no homes, those who are ill in body, mind, or spirit, the strangers and immigrants in our midst, those who live on the margins, those who are alone, those who are forgotten. Grant them and us the wisdom and courage to know and do what is right and good and true. May they and we speak out when it is time to speak out, and listen patiently and receptively when it is time to listen. May they and we always be guided by the spirit of community, by the spirit of justice, and by the spirit of love. This we pray in the name of all that we hold sacred, regardless of individual deities, and all that we hold good and right and true. May it be so, thank you. I now ask for a moment of silence to honor Mike Kiernan, who passed recently. He had graduated from the Ambassador program at the City Mission to work at the City Mission bookstore before his passing. Thank you.
Call on Bob Sanders to lead the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. The clerk would please complete the roll call.
Mr. Mutavaran? Mr. Toro?
Here.
Mr. Farley?
Here.
Mr. Williams? Ms. Patrick?
Here.
Mr. Palomini?
Here.
Ms. Porterfield?
Here. Ask for approval of the minutes for June 26, 2023. Moved by Ms. Patrick. Second by Mr. Farley. All those in favor? Aye. I would ask the clerk at this time to read any communications and petitions.
Communications presented to the City Council for Monday, July 10th, 2023. Under official, there were none. Under general, an email from Lori Hoyt with suggestions for Central Park. And under petitions, there were none.
Thank you. This time, any committee reports from council members? Any committee reports? Okay. Right now, we're going to have privilege of the floor for the legislative agenda. And I have one person signed up to speak. Robert Sanders. Excuse me. You changed your mind?
No, I wrote NA right after that.
Okay.
I made an error.
Okay, no worries. All right, so I have no one signed up to speak. So I declare the public hearing, the public comment and legislative agenda closed. Ask for approval of the legislative agenda. Moved by Mr. Williams. Second. Second by Mr. Mutavaran. All in favor? Thank you. This time, privilege of the floor regarding general city business. I have 6 people that are signed up to speak. Just want to remind everyone that you have 3 minutes to speak, and you will hear a timer when it's the end of that time. First person, Ed Lavin Jr.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, Chairwoman Porterfield, and council members. First, I would like to know why my ethics complaint was not in the newspaper. It is an election year. The mayor is to enforce all laws in the city and to ensure justice. None of you have yet to act on my complaint of obstruction of justice by these 3 blatantly corrupt judges, and I brought you proof. The ethics board is a joke. Colden states that mayor does not have to meet with me. I brought the complaint here, so yes, he doesn't have to meet with me, but he has heard my complaint and he needs to address this federal crime that Falatico has committed. That is where my ethics complaint lies. How is it that the mayor and city council members have done nothing to help me and instead violate their oath of office to protect the laws of the Constitution? I guess it's ethical to cover up for 3 corrupt judges that break the law, and the mayor keeps it out of the newspaper. You're all paid representatives of tax-paying citizens, and none of you are helping me. That is a color of law violation. When I have a problem with government and I come to you, you're supposed to represent me and make sure that I am not treated like a whistleblower and an adversary, like the mayor has treated me. You're all in violation of your oath of office. None of you have protected my constitutional rights, and you all swore to protect them. And the mayor has put the kibosh in my billboard and has Mile Reed, editor of the Gazette, in his pocket. I will expose you, Mr. McCarthy. I have new signs being made. I got Falatico'd in small claims court. Then I got McCarthy'd in City Hall. And you should all watch YouTube, New York State Audit, and see how the mayor makes his own laws and violates Daniel's constitutional rights. He's the guy that did the video of me. Falatico falsified evidence and said I was paid by garnishment and substantial justice was done. That is a lie. I never received another check from garnishment, yet they came to the courthouse before the trial. That is obstruction of justice. It is also a treasonable act by Falatico. Any judge who does not comply with his oath to the Constitution of the United States wars against that Constitution and engages in acts in violation of the supreme law of the land. The judge is engaged in acts of treason. The United States Supreme Court has stated that no state legislator or executive or judicial officer can war against the Constitution without violating his undertaking to support it. This is for you, Mayor. We could go on quoting court decision after court decision. However, the Constitution itself answers our question. Can a government legally put restrictions on the rights of the American people at any time for any reason? The answer is found in Article 6 of the United States Constitution, Miranda versus Arizona. Where rights secured by the Constitution are involved, there can be no rulemaking or legislation which would abrogate them. So your executive order doesn't really count when it goes against the Constitution. And Daniel can bring his camera into City Hall and use it in public accessible areas. He doesn't need Mr. Colden to escort him anywhere or impede his progress.
Your time has expired, sir.
You're supposed to enforce the laws.
Your time has
You don't make
expired,
them.
sir. Thank you.
I don't think my 3 minutes was up.
Reverend Nicole John Simone.
Good evening, Council President, Mayor McCarthy, and council members. As I have stated at this meeting before, as the president of the NAACP and a pastor in this community, I will always bring to your attention the concerns residents bring to me. And so with that being said, Donna Muselli, I hope I'm saying that correctly, made the following statement on social media, and she is, from her own words, the new executive secretary for our mayor. And for the sake of time, I'm not going to read the entire comment, but what she wrote was the following: I am the new executive secretary for the mayor. We are making a lot of positive changes. I admit there has been neglect to a lot of neighborhoods, but we have more absentee landlords than we can deal with, and yes, we have too many migrants. And panhandling, we are addressing it and working on a solution. Residents are concerned that there is someone working in the mayor's office who views migrants as a problem. All residents, including migrants, immigrants, should have the right to feel comfortable to call the mayor's office, but how is that supposed to happen when there's a person answering the phone who already has a prejudiced position towards them? So I don't expect any of you to be able to change anybody. That is certainly beyond your power to be able to change a person's views and positions and character. But you do have the power to vet people that work in your office, to hire them, to terminate them, and things like that. I am personally offended by this comment. My husband is an immigrant to this country. He has lived here almost a year now. He has proven to be a productive resident of Schenectady, a hardworking man, a man of faith. And what does that mean? That migrants are a problem and a solution that needs to be solved. And so people are offended, and I am offended. These comments I'm making, I'm sure, are part of public record now that I'm saying them here at this meeting, but you will have a letter from the NAACP following this, and we want to know what will be done about it, because people are now feeling a certain way that, someone who works for this in this building felt comfortable making that comment publicly, and stated that she works for our mayor, and that she called certain residents in this community a problem. So I would ask you to please look into this. I'm sure that you understand how these comments are prejudiced, and that you will follow up on it. Thank you.
Thank you. Joanne Perillo-Lasky.
I just want to give this to you guys so you can see. This is my property. There's just a couple of pictures here of my property. Okay, I'm Joanne Perillo-Lasky. I live at 805 Londonderry Road, and I'm a longtime resident and lover of Schenectady, and an asset to the city because I always do volunteer things. Anyway, I've always kept my property in tip-top shape. As you can see from the pictures, it's well kept, neat, no garbage or anything around. And our people in our neighborhood really do take pride in our neighborhood and the appearance of our property. I actually walk the streets often and pick up garbage that people throw out of their windows because they throw their soda cans and their coffee cups out the windows, and I do that. So you can imagine my displeasure because I put my garbage out a day early because of the Juneteenth. Well, there's two reasons why. I'll tell you that in a minute. When I found a $50 citation, somebody went to the trouble of a 3-page letter saying that you've got a $50 citation because you put your garbage out early. We had two reasons for that. One, it was the Juneteenth holiday, which screws us all up, and we always kind of look at each other's properties to see who's got their garbage out and so on. And two, just FYI, Londonderry is not even on any of your maps. Just take a look at the map that you have for your trash maps. Our streets aren't even on that map. I know that when it comes because I know that we're in that neighborhood. But if you look, Londonderry does not appear on that map. So that's another thing that kind of annoys me because I do look out the window to check other people's garbage. So anyhow, you can imagine my displeasure when I found a $50 citation in my mailbox because I had put things out on the wrong day. So you asked for creative solutions. I'm a 30-year teacher, and that's what we do. We look for creative solutions. And rather than having a citation of that amount, why not just a little warning and say, hey, you put your garbage out the wrong day. I get a three-page or 4-page letter, which costs them probably a lot more, instead of my neighbors, a lot of my neighbors too, to do than just a little note saying you put it out, all right, so I made a mistake. That's the right way to do it. I'm proud of the city. I love the city. I always have. I've lived in the Stockade. I've lived in Bellevue. I grew up in Rotterdam. This is my city. This is my home. And to do this seems very, to me, really ridiculously punitive. That's all. And I just would hope, I called and I came down and I said, well, there's nothing you can do about it. And to me, I don't like that answer. I think that was the wrong answer. I think that we could, perhaps a little warning, a little note, saying this is the wrong day, and we're very conscientious about the property. I mean, you guys have my pictures there. It's not like I have a junky property or people in my neighborhood do. So that's what I have to say. I don't know where I go from here. I would like some, if anybody has a suggestion, that would be great. But that's it. So, thanks.
Thank
I
you.
was angry. I'm still angry a little bit, so. Did you get my pictures back?
Oh, you want them back?
You can keep one if you need to.
We'll at least keep one for the record.
Yeah, keep the good, you keep the good ones.
Okay.
I'll take this one. Thanks.
All right, you're welcome. Thank you. Robert Sanders.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, Madam President. My name's Robert Sanders. I live on McDonald Avenue. I just wanted to talk to you about a couple items. Number one, I spoke about rent, and I saw Mayor Adams in New York City. You know, there was this woman who actually berated him because he gave his first rent increase, and it was only of 3% after 5 years. Now, I've got 2 rent increases. This past one was 25%, and the other one was 17%. And this is Schenectady, New York. We're not New York City. We don't have subways. We don't have rail systems going all over. We don't have 5 boroughs. Okay, I think landlords here are ridiculous. 1-bedroom apartment, $1,100. It's out of control. You heard me say that the last time. Something has to be done. Why don't we have invested money in building housing here? I do know that. But people are just getting sucked dry. There's no equity. You know, there's got to be something done. There's got to be something to where, you know, there's a cap in place. I'm going to say that much, but I got to follow up on the, you know, migrants there because, you know, I'm for immigration. If you could speak the language, if you have a job, you could live in America. And you have housing. That's how I feel about it. But you know, if you ever go back, there's immigration law right on the books saying what you have to do to pass immigration. I know this because of my parents. And actually, there's a test you have to pass, you know, about geography, who's this president, this. It's pretty, you know, daunting. I think they should, you know, lean it right up to 3 things I said. But back to this, you know, when you're paying, you know, $1,100, $1,300 for a 1-bedroom apartment and a mortgage for a house is cheaper, there's something wrong. And the income, the average income is $45,000 for a person in Schenectady. They're all just going to leave. If the bottom ever falls out here, there's a big problem. And most of you people, I know you all. You're good people. You're easy to work with. You know, I've known Marion, I know the mayor, I know you all. You know, there's, you know, landlords, you've got to say, listen, everybody should make $1. It should be fair that a landlord makes money. But when they're sitting in there charging you 25% every year, my landlord says, your rent's going up every year. It's going up every year. That'd be fine if it went up, you know, 5%, 6%, or if there was a massive increase. You know, anybody that's on Social Security knows the biggest Social Security increase was last year of 8%. And that was it. And this year, you're not getting any, okay? Tell that to a landlord, okay? City council, you know, I know you're just a city council. I did preach to the county, okay? I did do that. But there's got to be some type of, you know, where you've got to say something to these landlord association, whatever they call themselves, that came up and talked to you. I thank you for your time. Have a good evening.
Thank you. Brian and Emily Template. I'm not sure if I got the last name right.
It's Templeton. The handwriting's not always great, though.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Okay.
Hi, we're Brian and Emily Templeton. We live at 1675 Lennox Road.
And similar to a previous person, we received one of the more charming sides of Schenectady. But that's not really where we were going to start. We were going to start with, we moved to Schenectady about 3 years ago, and there's a lot of things in the city that we really and truly like, and we enjoy living here. You know, we like the diversity of the city. We like the fact that we can, you know, bike a lot of places, that they're close by, they're near our jobs. And so, like, we really do like Schenectady. And, we both moved here to the upstate New York area to work in renewables. I'm in research, and Emily's,
In solar and storage
Yeah.
at GE. And we intentionally picked Schenectady as a good school system for our daughter too. So we're part of the community and really enjoy being here. But we got a citation about our yard. So we have a more loosely kept yard, but it's one that's intentional. We have a lot of wildflowers. We let the wildflowers in our yard grow. And we think it's an asset to the community to have a place for pollinators to grow and that sort of thing. So
yeah, and we also in the evening see a lot of fireflies come out. And so, basically this has happened 2 years in a row. In the very spring, we get a notice, and then as the flowers start to bloom, all of a sudden, oh, they're wildflowers.
Right.
But if you mow them down before they bloom, well, they don't bloom. And so we actually did email some pictures of our flowers in bloom to Marion because we had talked to you at the farmer's market yesterday. And so we would also love to have anyone who would like to. You guys have our address. We would be happy to, show you guys our yard.
And our 7-year-old wrote a note that I would like to read to you guys. It says, I translated it because her handwriting's not always the best. It says, I would like to keep my wild lawn with the robins and the birds, the squirrels, the bees, the butterflies, the rabbits, and the groundhogs. To the City Council by Anna Laurel Templeton, read by Brian and Emily. So you guys can keep.
So in conclusion, we've heard about, the city faces many, many problems, and a lot of them are very difficult. But in a lot of ways, this is one that you guys have the power to, do something about. And we would suggest, either one, consider the fact that, wildlife habitat or, pollinator habitat is a thing. And secondly, if you guys wanted to actually have, say a program so that like yards could get pre-approved or some sort of like guidelines, like that would also be viewed positively. What's not viewed positively is, every year getting a citation that's a little crass and threatens up to, $250 a day for not mowing. So thank you guys very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Wasn't yours?
Wayne Harper.
Marion, Dave Elmendorf over here didn't sign the sheet and he wants to speak. So you might want to call on him. Now, I'd like to suggest that the city start a registry of complaints about city employees. I think it should be put in a computer and we start to log who these employees are that don't speak to residents in a proper way. And we shouldn't have to foil to get that information of how many complaints they get. And I'd like to nominate Paul LaFond and Phyllis in the water department as two that should be on the sheet or as a complaint. Paul took months to get back to me from phone calls, and some of the requests came from the mayor's office and he ignored it. I know it was months because I called them before I went in the hospital. I was in the hospital for 2 months. When he finally called, I said, it took you months to get back to me. He says, yeah, I know, I'm gonna have to do better. So we need to do better. The residents deserve better. And as far as Phyllis goes, she got a nasty disposition. And she tried to find sexism in our conversation where there wasn't any. But I got her squared away. But I've noticed, I've talked to her 2 or 3 times, she don't have the right tone to be dealing with the public. And we don't deserve it. Now, I think maybe every 6 months, at least maybe a minimum of once a year, they ought to get together in a group and be told who they actually work for, because I think they just work for you folks here. They work for every resident taxpayer out there, and we deserve better, and someone needs to see that we get better. So, who was it that used to say, and that's all I have to say about that? Was that Forrest Gump? I think that's... No, I want to conclude. That Andrew Wade, he's one of my favorite reporters at that Gazette. And I forgot at the last meeting to point out the fact that him taking his 2 young children, in my opinion now, this is just my opinion, But for him to take his 2 young children to that gay pride parade, I mean very young, that should be considered child abuse, my opinion. All right, I guess, one last thing. I started my 8th week of picketing at the Albany VA Hospital, and I challenged some of those veterans out here in the county or the city to come and join me, yeah, especially if you were in the 1st Air Cavalry. Well, no one showed up, but I will tell you this. I've met some wonderful people stopping, generally young women stopping. They bring me water. They really are concerned for me. One is taking the bar exam, and the other young woman, 21 years old, is going to be applying for law school. So it's refreshing to see that there are young people that really are that, involved with seeing you sitting out there. It was very moving. Thank you.
Thank you. Now, there's another gentleman that wanted to speak. You weren't signed up, that you wanted to speak?
Hi, Mayor McCarthy, people of the council. My name is
Excuse
Art
me.
Moran. I represent.
Yes. I want to be able to write your name on the sheet.
My name is Art Murata, M-A-R-O-T-T-A, and this is David Elmendorf.
Okay.
We represent Wiedeking Motors, and recently there's been a proposal for CDTA bus stop to put a stop in front of our building. The stop would be almost the same size as the one that's across the street, which would span about 26 feet from start to finish. That would be detrimental to our business. Half of our street frontage to the left is where we have cars out for sale. It's basically an extension from our office inside. That's where we display cars. It's a carport that's covered, that covers about 15 cars. This is where we display cars, put cars out on test drive. We also have 2 service stores that we service and sell hundreds of cars a month, okay? They want to put a structure in front of the carport that would basically cover all of our illuminated signage. It would basically hinder us doing business on almost 45% of our street frontage. So we've talked with them a few times. We've offered what we feel are reasonable suggestions to put the bus stop in a better place that doesn't hinder on anybody's business. Obviously, our main concern is people's safety. We obviously have a business to protect, but we feel that there's other locations that are close by that they can put their stop that are less busy as far as traffic. There's a car wash next door. It's a very busy intersection. So we've talked with them. We've had a couple meetings with them. They've come out. Mayor McCarthy, I think you've seen the carport when you've come to visit the store once or twice. We just feel that anything that's in front of our business like that is going to hinder what we do. We've been there for 102 years, and we just feel that that's not something that will be beneficial to us and also the safety of the people.
If I might add, one of the things that years ago we did have the bus stop there. There was no cubicle, but we used to have a lot of damage. They'd leave garbage. We've had to have cars painted, scratched, and it was a real problem. Of course, the Green Union was also there then, and they used to leave grocery carts there, and we used to have to wheel them back and forth, and that was quite a bit. But obviously that's gone now, but we're still going to have, and they admitted that we would still have the vandalism problem, and it's an issue. That's a concern for us. We have a $1,000 deductible on each car, so that expense can be very expensive to us. And so if there's anything you folks can do, we would really greatly appreciate it. We're willing to look at other options. We may have one, and I'll bring this up. 2 doors down is our body shop. Now, I haven't talked to this with my partners, but we could maybe put it there, which would make it that much closer to the crosswalk, which is the concern that they have for jaywalking. So that could be a possibility. We probably could get that done if that works for the CDTA. So with that being said, we appreciate the time for being here and hope that we can work something out to better everybody, certainly the safety, but certainly our business, which we're concerned for. So we thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I have no one else signed up to speak, so I declare the public comment of city business closed. And at this time, any miscellaneous business of the council? Ms. Patrick.
Thank you. I just wanted to announce that on July 22nd, from noon to 3, is the 7th annual Honorable Karen B. Johnson Family Fun Day over at Steinmetz Park, which, you know, we'll have about 1,000 children and families from the neighborhood. There's pony rides, there's food, it's all free. There's about over 30 community organizations that will be there to run activities, run arts and crafts activities, but also to give resources and information out to the families. So I just wanted to announce that. Thank you.
Okay, Mayor?
Thank you, Madam President. Appreciate the individuals that have come out tonight who got cited. Those things can be forwarded to my office for review. Sometimes they are legitimate. Sometimes there's a misunderstanding in terms of some of the applications of the code, and sometimes it just takes a little bit to straighten it out and bring some common sense to it. Also, we lucked out in terms of the weather. Those places south of here and east of here had unfortunately some severe flooding, which is still going on. And just that we should be thankful that Mother Nature smiled on us a little bit, and that we're able to hopefully enjoy some good weather ahead of us. But thank you, Madam President.
Thank you, Mayor. And I'd also like to thank everyone that came out tonight to express their concerns about what's going on in the city and maybe ways for improvement. And I just wanted to note that I'm sure we've all read about it, about the number of overdoses that we've seen lately within our city. So that means there are people out there suffering, who are suffering from this addiction problem, and lives are lost as a result of that. I know that our police department is doing some work around that, but I just want to remind those who are in that situation, as well as those who know people in that situation, that there are resources out there, and to avail themselves to those resources, because any loss of life is not a good thing. So and my condolences to the family who lost loved ones as a result of this. And let's just all be careful with the weather out there. It's very, very hot. And unfortunately, I had a friend who lost their husband in this immense heat, just being outside in the yard. So let's be really, really careful. With that, I'll ask for a motion to adjourn. Moved by Mr. Williams, second by Mr. Mutabaran. All those in favor? Aye. We are adjourned. Have a good evening.